Starting off with Daily Trust. Boldly in front on Daily Trust, RFI accuses Ubasani of siphoning local government funds to UK and South Africa. Says no local government receives 50 million naira per month. Provide evidence. Shehu Sani challenges ex-governor. Just so you know, to throw more, the ex-governor is accusing the sitting governor of siphoning local government funds to UK and South Africa. Now, there on the picture, you would see the story that is below with the picture there to depict it. Says motorists pass night at CNG stations over inadequate dispensing points. Motorists waiting to fill their cars at the CNG dispensing center along Airport Road, Abuja yesterday. That's the picture there. Experts urge expansion of filling centers. Government has no input in it, says the Presidential Committee. Still on Daily Trust, on the top left, Rivers Assembly's notice of misconduct not addressed to Fubara, says government. Many injured, houses burnt as crisis erupts in Plateau community. We had the details of that with Ado, during when we're taking our reports. And sure, lawyers, a company core member summoned for criticizing Tinubu. You'd find that story on page 7, the others on page 6 and page 10 respectively. But those are the stories we have on the front page of Daily Trust. Do well to grab yourself a copy and keep yourself informed. Moving over to Guardian. On Guardian, boldly eyes on Rivers CJ as impeachment plot thickens against Fubara and deputy. All right. Still on Guardian, lingering court order, litigation trail Shell's $2.4 billion investment and Dangote to reconstruct Itori cement plant, build Olokola port. Nigeria-Brazil's $1 billion green project kicks off and AGF lacks power to prosecute electoral offences, court rules. Still on Guardian, debt servicing fell from $540 million to $276 million, says the CBN. Nigeria's inflation sustains downward trend, slows to 23.2%. Jandor returns to APC as PDP describes his exit a welcome relief. Still on Guardian on the top left, disassociate from RFI's deceptive policies. Southern Alliance warns Obi and Atiku. Threat to arrest Natasha, anti-democratic, CUPP warns, and EFCC dogs Chinese Nigerian for alleged 3.4 billion naira cyber fraud economic sabotage. Now, those are the stories we have on the front page of Guardian. Do well to grab yourself a copy to keep yourself informed. And joining me in the studio to review some of today's headlines, we have Program Director, Daily Trust Foundation, Dr. Theophilus Abba. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. Good morning. Now, let's look at this story that's there on Daily Trust. RFI accuses Ubasani of siphoning, funds to UK and South Africa, local government funds. What do you make of this accusation? RFI has been speaking a lot of late. Is this normal or expected of him? What do you make of this?
Well, there are three layers to that story. The first of them is that if you accuse the governor of siphoning funds, that you need to provide a lot of evidence. Just like I think Shehu Sani said there, even for the journalists who interviewed him, at the time he spoke on Freedom Radio, they ought to have asked him, okay, we want to see the evidence that you have. If he has bought land, if he has bought properties, give us the evidence before we can even run with this story. Because if you say he bought property, he bought whatsoever in South Africa, in the UK, if he's using some bureau de change, before going out to the public to make such accusations, he ought to have provided all the evidence, and I hope he has them. And I've met him maybe once, and I know he keeps documents. And we hope that if he has made this allegation, well, he will not stop at making this allegation on air, but then provide enough evidence for the people of what do you call them, Kaduna State, to recover the money. But the second leg to it, like I mentioned, is that it's a kind of self-indictment, because he was the one that forced Ubasani on the people of Kaduna State. I can remember during the 2023 election how he fought tooth and nail to put Ubasani there. And if you are going to vouch for, if you are going to I mean, put somebody that's governor even against, even if it's the wish of the people, then it means that you must be able to vouch for him. So it's like a self-indictment. The person who brought in, you claim he's stealing a local government fund. I think even he himself should blame himself.
All right.
But ultimately, you see, it speaks to one of the problems we have in Nigeria today, that the local government is not totally independent. I understand I think the Supreme Court has ruled that any fund that belongs to the local government should go straight to the local government. But about 6, 7, 8, 9 months after that Supreme Court judgment, I don't think it has been implemented. So if you say that only less than 50 million goes to local councils, maybe on the average you will get 150. Even now, some local government will be getting 200 million, 300 million in a month. If only 50 million goes to them, it means that we have to challenge the government. Challenge either the presidency or the institution responsible to ensure that Supreme Court judgment on local government funds being channeled to local government should be enforced. Right. If it's not enforced, you keep on hearing things like this. Right. That some persons have access to such funds and make use of them for themselves.
All right, moving away from that now, we're seeing what is playing out in Rivers. We're seeing them come to Rivers Assembly notice of misconduct not addressed to Fubara, and on Guardian, eyes on Rivers CJ as impeachment plot thickens against Fubara. What's your thought on how all of this is playing out?
Well, it's going to be a very long legal battle. That is what I foresee. Because the thing is, when the Supreme Court ruled that the defection of the 26 or 27 lawmakers from PDP to APC never happened, it meant that everything that Fubara did, became faulty. And that is to say that even the 2024 budget, whatever he spent in 2024 was illegal. You understand? Because this issue started in 2023, December 2023. So all the funds he spent in 2024, the Council of Assembly will use it against him. Because they would say, oh, we did not approve this money, but you spent it. So it puts him in a very difficult position. So right from when the the Supreme Court judgment came out, we know that Fubara was in trouble, even though there are a whole lot of things around that. But I'm saying that it's going to be a long legal battle, because you need to remove the chief judge of Rivers State to be able to effectively, carry out the impeachment, because the chief judge is the one that will set up the panel that will investigate Fubara of all those allegations. Now, I know the House of Assembly has been trying to remove the chief judge for some time now, because they accuse him of falsifying his age and all this and all that. And they ask him to come and investigate him. Of course, EFCC does not investigate any judge. EFCC, if you have any case against any judge, you are supposed to petition the National Judicial Council. It's the council that will investigate him. Now, even if you investigate this man, even if you remove this chief judge who is there, who is supposed to set up the panel, and you want a new chief judge, it is Fubara that will appoint the chief judge. So, and if Fubara appoints the chief judge is the one that will set up the panel. And if all things being equal, the way we are looking at the battle, if the chief judge that Fubara appoints will not set up a panel that will investigate an issue against the chief judge and blame him. And we have seen it again and again. The fact that the House of Assembly moved an impeachment process does not mean that Fubara will be impeached. I'll give you an example. In Kogi State, I think before in 2019, yes, 2019, before the 2019 election, the deputy governor, there was a petition against the deputy governor in the House of Assembly. Even when the House of Assembly asked the chief judge to set up a panel, they set up a panel, and the panel came and said, this guy did no wrong. We didn't see anything wrong with what he has, so we cannot remove him. They took the report to the House of Assembly, House of Assembly threw it out and said, no, we don't accept your report, we remove him. So if you are now talking about the process, it's going to be a very tedious process for them.
But all this process, wouldn't it affect the governance in Rivers State in the long run?
Well, that's the unfortunate thing, because to affect the governance in Rivers State, if the governor is unsettled, if he's fighting for his positions, for his seat,
work.
I mean, a whole lot of work will not be done. So everything is the unfortunate thing about Rivers State is I mean, and that happens in many states in Nigeria, unfortunately, is the idea of some individuals who want to think that they can capture the state and put it in their pocket.
All right.
You know, and that is one of the biggest problems we have, even in the Nigerian politics
Nigerian
today.
politics, when it comes to
a lot of persons who want to capture the state and put it in their pocket, and whatever resources belong to the state is like it's their own resource.
All right. So, well, eyes on Rivers, indeed. Eyes are on Rivers to see how this is going to play out. Nigerians are watching. But now let's quickly comment on this story. You know, motorists pass the night at CNG stations over inadequate dispensing points, with government saying they have no input in it. Now, we saw that when subsidy was removed, the president promised on ways to cushion the effect by bringing out CNG, rolling out CNG buses. Until date, we've not even seen that. And even for when it comes to getting to refill your CNG or getting to the CNG stations, they are now inadequate. What do you make of this vis-a-vis the promise of the government when M12 subsidy was removed? What do you make of this?
Well, I think the argument that the panel is advancing is that this is a private enterprise. It's businessmen that can set up the filling stations and all this and all that. But then I was thinking that if government has prioritized the use of CNG, gas, as an alternative to fuel, then the government ought to have put in place measures to make these things available. For instance, if I want to convert my car to a CNG vehicle, I have to now look for the private company that will do so, and then look for a private company that sells the gas, which is not easy, because if government actually wants to make this thing in abundance, they can say, okay, we are giving loans to any oil company, any oil dispensing company that want to set up CNG facilities. We give them some loans to import, the spare parts or the whatever they need to set up to build the CNG facilities for in vehicles. You can give them some advance at maybe a low interest rate. So we now have many companies, many fuel stations, with those facilities. Then we now have many of them who can actually buy the CNG gas, to dispense.
All right.
So there is need for government support at the beginning. Ultimately, they will pay back. But then, if you abandon this thing to the private sector, you have to go and look for their money and all this thing. It's not going to work. You will still have this problem.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Theophilus Abba, for always coming in and, putting a light to the stories we have on the papers this morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And to our listeners there, I hope you've been able to pick something from the entire show this morning. We just had Dr. Theophilus Abba, Program Director, Daily Trust Foundation, with us here where we're looking at the stories that made it to the front pages of the daily. So I hope you've been able to pick something through the entire segments we've had on the show this morning. On behalf of the production crew, my name is Lilian Ogazi, and we say thank you so much for sticking around. Now, let's do this again tomorrow, but before you go, do not forget that the only way to hold the government accountable from an informed point of view is to read and understand the policies and the laws. Find a way to get approved, papers and, approved news outlets where you could read and understand the policies that are being implemented by the government, things that are happening in the country, so that way you are from an informed point of view when you're speaking. And also, when you get a message that is unconfirmed, do also fact check and confirm it before you pass it. So let's curb misinformation in our own little way as Nigerians. One way or another, we know that Nigeria will be great one day. My name is Lilian Ogazi.